This is the Brave New Coin Crypto Conversation, hosted by Andy Pickering.
Hi everyone, Andy Pickering here. I'm your host and welcome to the Crypto Conversation, a Brave New Coin podcast where we talk to the people building the future in the Bitcoin, blockchain and cryptocurrency space. Hi everyone, I know we're all hurting right now. Crypto has taken a beating and Goldman Sachs says flatlining is the best case for stock-heavy portfolios. Flatlining? Zero returns? Sheesh. In situations like these, we can take a cue from the world's best investors because a groundbreaking Ernst & Young study last year revealed that 8 in 10 ultra-high net worth individuals invest in alternatives. However, Bank of America's CIO recommends investing in one specific high-performing alternative to rescue your cash. He's talking about fine art. 2/3 of millionaires already hedge against inflation with art, according to UBS, because the last time inflation was this high, art appreciated by an unprecedented 33.2% annually. Now, obviously, most folks don't exactly have tens of millions lying around to start buying Banksys and Basquiat's, but that's where Masterworks comes in. They're helping people keep their cash intact by offering fractional investments in the top 1% of the art world. And with a recession on the horizon, they've seen sign-ups increase by 320%. That combined with the fact that they speak to every investor to make sure art is right for them. That means there's a wait list, but I'm hooking you guys up with priority access to skip the line. And it's as easy as going to masterworks.com and using promo code CryptoConversation. That's masterworks.com, promo code CryptoConversation, and you can see important Regulation A disclosures at masterworks.com/CD. Again, that's masterworks.com and use the promo code CryptoConversation to skip the line. And now, folks, it is on with the show. My guest today is DimNiko, also known as Dimitri, and I believe Dimitri is the founder of DimNiko, which is a digital marketing agency, and he's now developing 3Commerce, which is a suite of solutions designed to help brands integrate blockchain technology and start to dabble in the wonderful world of Web3. Welcome to the show, Dimitri.
Thank you so much for having me, Andy. I'm super excited to chat with you today.
So we were just chatting now, and turns out you're an Aussie originally, I think, but you're now based in Cape Town. So look, we'll do what we do at the beginning of the show, Dimitri, is I'd love to just hear a little bit about who you are, your background, your story kind of leading up into what we're going to be talking about today. So please take it away.
Amazing. Okay, so I started my kind of entrepreneurial journey a couple of years ago, 5 or 6 years ago, when I was in Melbourne, Australia, which is where I was born and raised. And that all started in the digital marketing kind of realm, where we essentially built an agency that helps brands grow quickly with profitable digital advertising spend. And that was digitally native brands and brands that sell physical products online, where most of their business comes from online. Their online channel is their main source of income. And kind of spearing off from that over the last few years, I have also run a number of my own brands as well, one called Ape Athletics, another supplement brand here in Africa. So not only have we kind of done this stuff for clients, but we've also done it for ourselves. And kind of over the last few years, obviously the landscape has changed a lot, and more recently it's changed from kind of a data and tracking and a technology perspective, and what that has seen is massive increases in advertising costs for these brands, and a lot of these brands post-COVID, because obviously there was a big boom for e-commerce in COVID, but post-COVID actually struggled a lot, in particular with these data issues or tracking challenges that have arisen. And so that's how we kind of ended up rolling into the blockchain and Web3 stuff as kind of a solution to a lot of the challenges that these brands are facing. And I'm sure we'll talk all about that in a sec. And then kind of on the personal side, I have moved now to Cape Town, South Africa, which is absolutely incredible. That happened 3 or 4 years ago. After I met a girl, I was speaking at Affiliate World, a marketing conference in Bangkok. And I met a girl there that was from South Africa. And, you know, as it happens, I fell for the trap and ended up moving over to Pretoria in South Africa. And the rest is history. So that's where we are now.
And are you guys still together?
No, we're not. We broke up about 2 years ago.
Right.
But I mean, I absolutely fell in love with the place. Cape Town is a really, really pretty city, and it has a lot of incredible people. And it's also starting to become a hub for sort of digital entrepreneurship as well. A lot of digital nomads starting to come through, and the scene is kind of coming up. So it's not like a Thailand, Bangkok or Chiang Mai sort of situation yet. But it's definitely up and coming, and there's a really cool crowd to sort of hang out with.
Yeah, nice, very nice. Okay, well, talk to me then a bit more about this kind of transition then, Dimitri, from, I guess, what would be a typical, digital marketing agency. Most people understand what that means. It's kind of a relentless Facebook advertising and just keeping up with the new strategies. You got to kind of constantly evolve as the platform changes the algorithm, right? I'm sure you've spent a lot of time doing that. So then why did you begin to engage with Web3, and what are the opportunities that you see there for like your typical kind of big brand digital marketing clients?
Absolutely. Okay, so a lot of these brands now are facing challenges with profitability, and in particular having really good grasp on their customers, and essentially closing the gap between themselves and their customers to really build upon that relationship. And a big sort of overarching concept in the whole Web3 and NFT space, of course, is community and utility, right? So we saw a NFT collection launch, I believe it was in 2021, sort of during the whole Web3 and NFT boom, called Atom Bomb Squad. And what these guys did, it was a launch by a streetwear brand in the States called The Hundreds. And they released 20,000 NFTs that was essentially they profiled all of their, or took the data from all of their sales in the past 20 years that they've been operating, of the different clothing and different colorways and patterns, and then released these profile pictures that correlated to the rarity and the patterns in the profile pictures correlated to that of the apparel that they had been selling. And so people bought these for, I can't remember how much exactly it was, but the brand did essentially a $10 million raise over a weekend, or however long it took to sell, which was very quick. And then from there, they actually have given the token holders certain access and benefits based on whether or not they own a token, and whether or not they're part of that loyalty program, essentially. So in doing that and providing this token gated content, special products that are only accessible to token holders and things like that, they have increased their lifetime value of their customers. They've had more and more customers returning and purchasing again. They've also closed the gap, and they're able to identify their most loyal customers and then find ways to interact with them in ways that they haven't before. And they've introduced these new revenue streams, first off from the initial sale, as well as the secondary trading of these assets as well, which is a revenue stream that e-commerce has never seen before, which is super interesting for that business model, right? And then from there, the customer acquisition costs also go down, because you essentially have these 20,000 NFT holders who in essence hold or own a piece of your loyalty program, and are therefore incentivized by the value of that loyalty program to share with friends and family, and share the brand and things, dropping the acquisition costs. Yeah, so a lot of very, very cool stuff, and that's just one use case.
Do you own an NFT from the Atom Bomb Squad collection?
No, not from that one. No,
I've got one.
I have a couple of other NFTs, but oh, you do? Oh, yeah. Awesome.
I think it was one of the first NFTs I bought, and to be honest, I actually bought it for my partner for her birthday last year. It was about 2 months after they did the mint for that collection. But I've been around. I know my street fashion history, so I'm reasonably familiar with the Hundreds, and have been, as you said, they're kind of by today's standards, they're an old school brand just simply because they've been around for 10 years or more. So when I saw that they were doing an NFT collection, yeah, I was like, this is interesting. And Bobby Hundreds, I think that's his name, Bobby Hundreds. Yeah, he's one of the founders of the Hundreds brand, and obviously the Atom Bomb Squad. He's actually written some really good essays. There's one called I can't remember the title, something about the street, but I'll look it up and I'll put the link in the show notes because it's such a good read. And he was talking about what you're talking about really, which is just the kind of the intersection of a street fashion brand that has history and roots, and how you can kind of create some interesting new opportunities by applying blockchain technology and NFTs, and just what it means for kind of global fan communities, and well, in this case that kind of streetwear community. So yeah, I think it's a great example.
Yeah, absolutely. And they're the ones that have kind of pioneered this sort of use case of NFTs in e-commerce. And now, and when they did it, they would have needed their own smart contract developers and things like that. And now software solutions and no-code softwares are popping up that are allowing brands to essentially do this much more easily themselves.
Yes.
But I think the kicker with this, and sort of the direction it needs to go in order to reach adoption by the end consumer for any brand or any product, is that it all has to be done in a way that is 100% from a user experience perspective native and familiar to what they've been doing in the past. And I think that's the direction that blockchain technology in general is going to move into. So obviously now, and in the context of these conversations, you and I have transacted using cryptocurrency with our MetaMasks, and that's probably where a lot of us hold our NFTs. Whether or not that's secure is another conversation. But the reality is, for the end consumer, in 5 to 10 years from now, I don't think my mum is going to have a MetaMask that holds crypto, right? It's more so that these transactions and the concepts are going to be able to be facilitated using that Web3 and blockchain technology on the back end, and kind of bundled up in a very Web2 sort of user experience, much like going and booking a hotel without knowing exactly how the intricacies of the internet work and how you're interacting with the database of that hotel and things like that.
Yeah, absolutely. I very much agree. That's that's really one of the holy grails of I suppose blockchain and cryptocurrency is but it's also, there are various trade-offs when you start to abstract away some of the complexities of the blockchain, but you still want to try and keep the decentralization. Yeah, there's trade-offs in every direction, turtles all the way down, but I do completely agree that that is kind of the key to mass, certainly mainstream adoption, is just making these experiences simpler and safer, and we're not there yet.
Yeah, absolutely. A long way to go.
Well, tell me a little bit about 3Commerce and what the idea there is, what the origin story. It's quite interesting listening to you talk, Dimitri, because you kind of give yourself away as obviously a very, very passionate digital marketer, because of you've used the term, I think, customer lifetime value a couple of times, customer acquisition costs. So I spent time in a digital agency a few years ago myself, so I recognize the language and the passion. But talk us through the vision for 3Commerce.
Yeah, so essentially how all that started is we wanted to do an Atom Bomb Squad style launch for our e-commerce clients, and we started looking around at some of the solutions, the software solutions to do that. But again, all of them, the whole crypto user experience was central around having some kind of understanding of crypto, going and minting an NFT with Ethereum or Matic or whatever it is, and then holding that NFT in your wallet and bringing it to the brand's website, and then signing in, verifying with your MetaMask, and all of these things that we would never be able to ask of our customers in reality, right? If we have a baby products brand or even a supplement brand or anything like that, only a tiny fraction of the customers will actually be able to interact with the brand in that way that a lot of these softwares were kind of asking. So 3Commerce is essentially going to be a new solution that tries to solve a lot of these problems. And what we're doing is we're building it in such a way, like just as I described, where you'll log in with a username and password, and the experience will be very familiar to someone like your mother, right? Or your brother, or someone that doesn't have any experience in the crypto space, so that we can create these very similar brand customer interactions without asking the world from the customers from an adoption perspective. And I think if we do that right, we can get these massive brands doing this stuff tomorrow. You know, that there doesn't have to be a massive barrier to entry for the customers. And we've seen that now in particular with, there are two main use cases. One, recently, Reddit launched their avatars, right? So these avatars that Reddit users can purchase for $9.99 up to $99.99. And when they purchase these avatars, they get access to exclusive communities and things like that. Now, the customers went through that entire journey, purchased these avatars, got access to the communities, and they never even knew that those avatars were actually NFTs and that this is using like blockchain and Web3 technology. And another example is Starbucks's Odyssey program. I'm sure many people have heard of that. It's become pretty a topic of conversation in the Web3 space for sure. But nowhere on the website for that Starbucks Odyssey launch is the word NFT ever referred to, right? And so I think that's the kicker, is how can we use and tap into the benefits in order to create these interactions without necessarily asking of our customers that they come and purchase with cryptocurrency and have their MetaMask and all that sort of stuff. And that's what 3Commerce does for e-commerce brands.
Nice. Well, sounds like a fascinating endeavor. And, you know, be interested though in terms of how are you finding, you know, potential clients at the moment to start to experiment with some of this Web3 stuff, because, you know, it's fine, as you'll appreciate, Dimitri, these things, these conversations, they're much easier to set up in the bull market when everyone's excited. There's a bit of a froth and frenzy involved, and, you know, positive media headlines. However, the reverse is also true at the moment. You know, no one's particularly interested in NFTs. I'm not sure how the Starbucks Odyssey program's going at the moment, but I did see yesterday, I hadn't even heard of this. I didn't know it existed, but did you see that CNN, they had started some kind of NFT platform where they were basically NFT-izing CNN newsworthy moments or something. I don't know exactly how it worked, but that was the idea. And they quietly announced this week that they are closing their platform down. Unsurprisingly, probably a lack of interest. So, but yeah, I mean, you know what I'm saying. How it's not a bad thing though, that, you know, because now that we're kind of the market's a bit dead, is a fantastic time to start to build these platforms and get everything into place, so you know what you're doing when the market turns as well, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, so to answer your question, I mean, obviously I've been running a marketing agency for quite a few years. So we have not only our existing clientele, but we have quite a bit of reach, both from all the marketing that we've done in the past. I mean, as an agency over the last few years, we've spent over $1 million in marketing for ourselves, like for the agency, not for the clients, which means that we do have quite a big list of brands that have worked with us in the past or that are on our email list or whatever it might be. So naturally, they're the guys that we're speaking to first. And in terms of actually bringing them on board and sort of some of the resistance points that you mentioned, when the context of the conversation is based, and again, this is kind of in line with what I've been saying throughout the interviews, when the context of the conversation is based around NFTs and Web3 and all of that sort of hypey kind of buzzword stuff, there is a big stigma attached to it, both from the brand's perspective in terms of whether or not it's right for them, but also whether or not it's right for their customers. And so the conversation usually does follow the lines of, you know, we have these tools and this technology at our disposal that lets us create loyalty programs like in ways that we haven't created them or have not been able to run them before. And here are some of the benefits. You know, there are going to be new revenue sources. We can decrease your customer lifetime value. Once again, increase your customer lifetime value, decrease your acquisition costs, all of these things by using this technology. And on the back end, the way it works is with NFTs, but that's not what we're going to be asking of your customers. And that's not, and then, I mean, obviously when we make reference to, Starbucks and Reddit and things like that, it does kind of illustrate that point and paint the picture in a way that they haven't really looked at it before, because there is that sort of dismissive attitude at this stage because we are in a bear market towards the whole NFT stuff. So we're not even coming from that angle at all. And I mean, ultimately, and at the end of the day, that is not what the software is being built for. It's not just so that brands can deploy NFTs. It's so that they can get the benefits of the technology, right? And the mechanism in itself to the brands doesn't necessarily have to even be a central point. It's more about the solutions to the problems that are solved.
Yeah, makes perfect sense. And out of interest, what does customer lifetime value mean, Dimitri? I kind of get what it means,
for sure.
I'd love to hear it from an expert. What does it mean?
So the customer lifetime value is essentially, or very simply put, the amount of money a customer spends with a business over their entire lifetime. Wow. So, I mean, if you take Apple, for example, right? You go and buy your first iPhone. Yeah. Then that first interaction will have $1,000 ticket price, right? Yeah. But from there, and something that Apple is really, really good at is creating kind of an ecosystem for their products. So once you buy their iPhone, you're going to want to get AirPods. You're going to need to spend money on their expensive cables. You're probably eventually, once you're loving your iPhone, you're going to change from a Windows to a Mac computer, and then the lifetime value, right? The amount that you've spent with the brand ends up in the tens of thousands. So the whole goal is the first interaction between a brand and their customer is generally the most expensive, right? Actually acquiring and getting that customer to come and spend with you for the very first time is the most expensive from a marketing perspective. But once you have that customer on your books and they've had an experience with your brand, then the goal is to get them spending more and more, because each subsequent interaction costs you less and has much more profit for the brand. And that's the goal Sorry,
again, makes perfect sense. And Apple is such a good example, and probably one of the best examples. And I mean, you said it yourself, and this is why Apple is, I guess, the most valuable company in the world, because I'm sitting here, I've got my iPhone next to me, got my MacBook in front of me, my AirPods to the left, and these are just Apple products that I've bought in the last, 12 months, let alone in the decade or 2 decades before. What happens when Apple releases a bloody car? It's like, crazy.
And it's just the way they've done it with their kind of ecosystem is that it's painful to have a product within that ecosystem that is not an Apple product, right? If you went and bought Sony headphones, it's just not going to be the same as using your AirPods in terms of just seamless experience. So
that's it. And they've given everything, and they've made everything, well, not only seem premium, but actually it feels premium.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, well, let's finish off this part of the podcast, Dimitri. Just, anything else you want to share in terms of what you're doing at 3Commerce? If people like the sound of what you're doing, or if they just want some expert advice on Facebook advertising and customer lifetime value, what should they do? Where should they go?
Absolutely. So if you want to check out 3Commerce, you can go to 3commerceprotocol.com. That's with the number 3, not the word 3 spelled out. So number 3 and then commerceprotocol.com. And if you want to speak to me directly, you can hit me up on Instagram. That's probably the best way, at dim.niko. Or if you want to talk about marketing, you can go to dimniko.com and you can fill out one of the forms there and we can have a chat.
Fantastic. And just for anyone, that wanted to follow up on that essay I was talking about by Bobby Hundreds, who's the founder of, the Hundreds and Atom Bomb Squad, I found it. It's called, and again, the link will be in the show notes, but it's a fascinating essay. I really enjoyed it. I'm going to read it again. It's from August 2021, but it's called The Street Does Not Really Exist. And it's about fashion and the metaverse, but very applicable to what we've been talking about today. But what we'll do is we'll go to a very quick break, and then we'll come back. We'll have some fun. We'll run Dimitri through the very famous Crypto Conversation hot take round. Back in 1 second.
Here's what's being said about Masterworks.
My name is Jacob N. I'm from Long Island, and I've invested over $73,000 with Masterworks. My portfolio performance just wasn't cutting it. I researched all these alternative investments, like crypto and NFTs. but they didn't make sense to me. Then I read about Masterworks in Forbes, and I signed up right away. And now you can too. Thanks, Masterworks.
Get VIP access at masterworks.io and use promo code JACOB. See important disclosures at masterworks.io/DC.
And we're back, and I'm with DimNiko, also known as Dimitri. He's the founder of DimNiko, the digital marketing agency, and also 3Commerce, a new kind of Web3 focused agency for his clients and anyone interested really in getting involved with Web3. Dimitri, I like to finish each podcast with a quick round of rapid fire crypto conversation hot takes. Are you up for it?
Amazing. Let's go. I'm ready.
Let's go, Dimitri. I'm just going to run some questions at you. Just want kind of quick, honest answers. Rapid fire, hot take style is how we do it. Question one for you, Dimitri. Where would you say that you sit on the Bitcoin maximalist to multi-chain opportunist spectrum?
I would say multi-chain, 7 out of 10 on the multi-chain side for sure.
Nicely said. All right. What would you say is your firmest conviction, crypto opinion?
That I think crypto technology will be used but not understood in the future at all by the end consumer.
Yep, I love it. It'd be abstracted away. All right, well, Bill Gates famously said that we tend to overestimate what we can accomplish in 2 years, Dimitri, and underestimate what we can accomplish in 10. So, look, anything you like here, Web3, the metaverse, blockchain, digital marketing even, Facebook advertising, what does it all look like in 10 years' time?
In 10 years, I think we are, again, going to be using the technology in a way that's very seamless and integrated with our daily lives, but not necessarily understood, or that we won't necessarily be interacting with it as we are today, right? We won't be using MetaMasks and transacting. Might not even be transacting in crypto per se, but crypto will be on the back end and used for all our payment rails and things like that. So,
sci-fi author William Gibson said that the future is already here, it's just not evenly distributed. Can you think of an example of the future being here right now, Dimitri, but most people aren't really aware of it?
So the future being here, but people are not ready for it, I think is, in the context of the entire crypto conversation, and in particular being from Africa, actually, or living in Africa currently, I can see so many use cases where all of this crypto stuff is so much more useful here and actually already coming and solving some serious real world problems that we aren't necessarily seeing in sort of the first or the more developed world, right? For one, access is a lot more difficult, and that's where a lot of the innovation on the crypto and blockchain side is happening here. And because that access is more difficult, a large portion of the population don't have bank accounts. They want to transact in do micro transactions and send very, very small amounts of money to each other and things like that. And blockchain solving a lot of those problems, cryptocurrency in particular solving a lot of all those problems, has been super interesting to develop, because it is, in my opinion, one of the most tangible or solution-oriented outcomes of cryptocurrency that is really, really helping people big time. So, yeah.
I love it. All right. And finally, Dimitri, what is your favorite science fiction book, film, or TV show?
First one that comes to mind is Star Wars, for sure. I think that's a classic and one that can be watched over and over again.
Yes, it could. Yes, it can. I love it. All right. Hey, this has been really fun, Dimitri. Thank you for coming on the show. Really enjoyed talking with you today. Nothing else to say really, except hand the microphone back to your good self. Again, please tell the people where they can go to find you on Instagram, I think is where you like to hang out, and give us your website shout outs.
Amazing. Thanks, Andy. Yeah, so if you want to reach out to me directly, you can just send me a DM or follow me on Instagram. It's at dim.niko. And then if you want to work with us or check out what we're doing with 3Commerce Protocol, it's the number 3 and then commerceprotocol.com. Or you can check out our marketing agency at dimniko.com. But don't be afraid to get directly in touch. I'm keen to chat to all of you guys.
Awesome. Thanks very much, Dimitri. All the best, and bye for now.
Amazing. Thank you so much, Andy.
All right, there you go. That was DimNiko, aka Dimitri. Interesting guy. That was fun. Enjoyed that. And again, shout out to Bobby Hundreds and a Bomb Squad. The street does not really exist. I know I've mentioned this essay a few times on today's show, but hey, yeah, fascinating. Going to read it again tonight just because what else are you going to do? I might watch some Game of Thrones, actually. Got a new episode of that dropped today or yesterday. Haven't watched it yet, so I might watch that. Going to read this essay. All right, it's in the show notes. Thanks, team. Thanks for listening. Don't forget to subscribe to the Crypto Conversation in whatever podcast app you are using. But that was today's show. This was the Crypto Conversation for Brave New Coin.